Most people destroy their power the moment they step into public view. Not because they're weak, but because they don't understand the rules of perception. Every gesture, every word, every micro-expression in public is an unspoken negotiation, and the man who doesn't know this surrenders control without even realizing it. You think public space is neutral? It's not. It's a battlefield. It's where alliances form, hierarchies emerge, and impressions lock in. You're either being studied or dismissed, and the moment you show too much, speak too freely, or move too reactively, you lose the invisible game of power. We live in a time where oversharing is encouraged, where overreacting is normal, and where being loud is mistaken for being strong. But Machiavelli would laugh at this. He'd remind you, power is not in what you show, it's in what you withhold. What they don't know about you, that's your real weapon. The man who cannot control himself in public cannot control how the world treats him. But the one who walks with calm restraint, who speaks rarely, and who never tries to prove himself, that man is feared before he even opens his mouth. What you reveal, they can use. What you conceal, they fear. By the end of this video, you'll know the 10 things you must never do in public, not because they're wrong, but because they silently signal weakness, insecurity, and desperation. You'll learn how to cloak yourself in mystery, how to command space without sound, and how to win psychological ground without moving a muscle. Because in public, real power doesn't come from performance. It comes from presence. Ensure you hit the subscribe button to subscribe to our channel. Like, share, and comment for this to go viral. Let's begin. Number 1. Never try to impress. It signals insecurity. The moment you try to impress, you admit one thing: you're beneath them. Most men walk into a room already defeated, trying too hard to be liked, noticed, or validated. They flash success, exaggerate stories, over-explain, name-drop, or posture for attention. It might get them noticed, but it never earns them respect. Why? Because trying is the language of the powerless. Machiavelli understood a dark truth. The more effort you exert to prove your value, the more you signal you don't have it inherently. In power dynamics, confidence is assumed, not argued. The prince who brags is weak. The prince who observes silently and lets others talk, that's the one people lean toward. Real authority doesn't need to decorate itself. It's felt in the silence between sentences, in the restraint behind your words, in the fact that you never seek approval. Consider this. Have you ever seen a truly powerful man trying to impress anyone? They don't explain, they don't justify, they don't inflate their status. They let others come to conclusions based on what's left unsaid. The psychological rule is simple. Those who try to prove their worth lose it. Those who withhold it raise it. In public, the goal is not to be impressive. It's to be unreadable. Let others wonder about your capabilities, your background, your wealth, your status. The less you confirm, the more power you accumulate. Machiavelli would advise, speak low, speak last, and speak less. Give just enough to maintain presence, never enough to satisfy curiosity. Because curiosity breeds obsession, but overexposure breeds indifference. Even compliments should be restrained. Praise without effort. Speak calmly, and never compete in public. It's beneath a strategist. The real move is to make others feel the need to impress you while you remain unmoved. So next time you feel the urge to prove yourself in public, don't. Let your stillness speak. Let your composure whisper status. And remember, powerful men don't chase recognition, they make recognition chase them. Number 2. Never overshare. Privacy is leverage. In public, the biggest mistake weak men make is thinking openness earns trust. It doesn't. It earns exposure. The modern world has trained you to believe that vulnerability is strength, that being real in public makes you relatable. But in Machiavellian terms, every detail you reveal becomes a blade someone else can eventually turn against you. Every story, every confession, every opinion, it's ammunition. And in public, you're surrounded by people who are either listening, watching, or waiting to use what they know. Privacy isn't weakness. It's strategic superiority. Oversharing shows desperation. Desperation to be liked, to connect, to prove yourself. And desperation is always punished. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. A ruler who speaks too freely invites rebellion. A man who reveals too much invites manipulation. Be brief. Be vague. When someone asks about your personal life, give a calm, deliberate half answer and pivot. You are not obligated to explain your thinking, your plans, your desires. In fact, the less they know, the more they wonder. And in public, mystery is leverage. Why? Because the predictable man is controllable. But the private man is a question mark. He breeds curiosity, fear, and respect. He becomes the enigma everyone tries to decode. And that attention is a kind you own, not chase. Public power is built on silence, not storytelling. The next time you're in a group, resist the urge to impress by talking. Instead, speak once. Say little. Watch more. Because what you don't reveal can never be used against you, and what they don't know, they'll fear. Privacy isn't shyness, it's strategy. In a world of noise, the man who reveals nothing holds everything. Number 3, never react first, control the frame. In every public situation, whether it's a conversation, a confrontation, or a subtle power play, the first person to react loses control. Modern society has conditioned men to respond instantly, to explain themselves, defend themselves, laugh at jokes they don't find funny, and nod in agreement to things they secretly disagree with. But Machiavelli would call that what it is, emotional slavery. When you react first, you reveal your position. You reveal what bothers you, what excites you, what makes you uncomfortable, and most dangerously, what controls you. The Machiavellian strategy is this: never react, always respond, calmly, slowly, deliberately. You see, the person who controls the emotional tempo of a room controls its power structure. If someone insults you in public and you snap back instantly, they've won. Not because they were right, but because they made you flinch. But if you hold your ground, emotionless, unreadable, they begin to question themselves. They lose their rhythm. They get louder, more erratic, and suddenly they look weak. Stillness is power. Non-reactivity is psychological warfare. This is the law of frame control. The man who doesn't flinch becomes the mirror. He forces others to see themselves, and most people can't survive their own reflection. They stumble over silence, over their own words, trying to provoke a reaction that never comes. That silence becomes unbearable, and that's where your power begins. In public, your goal is not to look smart. It's to look unmoved. At a meeting, don't be the first to speak. At a party, don't be the first to laugh. When something uncomfortable is said, let others twitch. You, stay still. Stay calm. Stay silent. Because when you don't react, you control the frame. And when you control the frame, you decide the narrative without even saying a word. Let bleed emotion. You remain the immovable force. Machiavelli would say, he who responds first reveals weakness. He who waits reveals mastery. Make them speak first. Make them sweat first. You walk in with power when you control the pace. Number 4, never gossip. It signals weak position. Gossip is the currency of the powerless. And in Machiavellian strategy, powerlessness is a sin. When you speak about others behind their backs, you think you're gaining social ground, but in truth, you're revealing your lack of it. Gossip isn't dominance, it's desperation masked as relevance. It tells the room one thing: you have no real moves, so you speak instead of act. A man who moves in silence doesn't waste words on others. He doesn't discuss the failures, scandals, or weaknesses of people not present, because doing so is an admission that his own value is insufficient. Gossip signals low position. Observation signals high ground. Understand this: if someone gossips with you, they'll gossip about you. And if you participate, you become part of their weak web. You're showing them you're just another pawn, easily distracted, easily manipulated, easily baited into revealing your thoughts. Machiavelli would say, the man who watches reveals more than the one who speaks. The powerful man says less, listens more, and lets people expose themselves. While others scramble to be heard, he gathers information, holds it like a weapon, and waits. Because knowledge used at the right time is leverage, spoken prematurely, it's waste. Power isn't in opinion, it's in restraint. So next time someone pulls you into gossip, observe how they beg for your agreement. Watch their eyes search yours for a reaction, and instead of engaging, just pause. Smile slightly, say nothing. Or better, redirect. Let's talk about something useful. That's not just maturity, that's silent dominance. Remember, every time you gossip, you shrink. Every time you withhold, you grow. In public, say less. Let others reveal their nature. You remain unreadable, composed, and above the noise. Number 5, never apologize excessively. It destroys respect. There's strength in humility, but there's weakness in begging. In today's world, men are trained to apologize before they speak, to cushion every sentence with a disclaimer, to constantly shrink themselves in fear of offense. This isn't politeness, it's psychological surrender. Understand this. Excessive apology is self-erasure. It tells people that you doubt yourself, that you're unsure of your right to exist in that space, that you feel guilty for simply being. And the moment others sense guilt, they stop respecting you. Apologize when necessary, but only once. Clean, direct, no over-explaining, no pleading for forgiveness. I was wrong, won't happen again. Then move on, because the man who lingers in apology invites people to question his strength. Over-apology isn't accountability, it's self-sabotage. You're not obligated to feel bad for every word, every opinion, every step you take. And you certainly don't need to say sorry for things you didn't do just to keep the peace. That's not maturity, it's submission dressed as empathy. Machiavelli would say, never beg for pardon where you should assert your presence. In public, own your presence. Whether you're walking into a room, correcting someone, or making a bold statement, speak with the authority of someone who belongs there. And if you're wrong, correct it. Briefly, sharply. But never let your apology be longer than your conviction. Watch powerful men. They don't stutter apologies. They move forward, and people follow. Not because they're perfect, but because they project certainty. Confidence isn't about never making mistakes. It's about not flinching when you do. So here's the rule. Apologize once. Never apologize for existing, and never apologize for strength. Anything more than that, and you're not seeking peace, you're seeking permission. And Machiavellian men don't ask for that. Number 6. Never compete for attention. Silence wins. Loud men are rarely powerful. They're just afraid of being overlooked. In public, the average man scrambles for attention, talking over others, laughing too hard, inserting himself into every moment, hoping the volume of his presence will be mistaken for value. But Machiavelli knew the opposite to be true. Desperation is loud, power is quiet. When you compete for attention, you declare that you lack it. You reveal a psychological void, a need to be seen, liked, validated. And in doing so, you give away your status. True power doesn't chase attention. It attracts it, through silence, stillness, and certainty. The one who speaks the least commands the most interest. Why? Because mystery creates gravity. When you speak only when necessary, people lean in. They wonder what you're thinking. They second-guess your silence. You own the room not by dominating it, but by holding your frame so deeply that the room adjusts to you. This is Machiavellian presence. It's not passive, it's calculated. When you say less, your words carry more weight. When you don't chase the spotlight, people start to offer it. Every man in the room fights to be seen. But the man who doesn't fight, that's the man they can't stop watching. Here's how it works. Say less than you know. React slower than they expect. Move with deliberate calm. Speak only when the silence serves you. Machiavelli would advise, power does not demand attention. It makes others feel its absence when it leaves. Don't interrupt to be heard. Wait to be invited. Don't raise your voice, raise your presence. The less you try to be seen, the more people will seek your gaze. In a world of men performing for approval, the one who withholds performance holds the power. So when you walk into a room, observe more, speak less, move slowly. Let your silence announce you before your words do. That's not weakness, that's control. Number 7. Never laugh too easily. It signals low standards. Laughter is not just amusement, it's approval. It's acceptance, it's submission. And most men give it away too easily. They laugh at jokes that aren't funny. They chuckle nervously in awkward silence. They use laughter as a social lubricant, to gain favor, avoid conflict, or seem friendly. But here's the cold truth. When your laughter is cheap, so is your presence. In Machiavellian terms, uncontrolled laughter is a leak in your armor. It reveals need. It shows you want connection more than you want control. And in power dynamics, the man who wants is always at a disadvantage. Every time you laugh without discernment, you validate the people around you. You say, "You've pleased me, you've impressed me." But what have they done to earn that reaction? Nothing. And that's the point. Psychological insight. When you laugh easily, people stop trying to impress you. When you laugh rarely, they start trying harder. They lean into your silence. They crave your smile. You create a vacuum, and they rush to fill it. It's not about being emotionless. It's about being selective. Laugh with intention, not impulse. Let your stillness be the norm, and your laughter the reward. Make your humor sharp, not submissive. Machiavelli would say, "A prince must never appear too amused, lest his court forget who holds the throne." The man who doesn't laugh at every joke, who smiles with subtlety instead of desperation, that's the man whose opinion holds weight. So train yourself to be amused quietly. Reserve your laughter like it's gold. Let people earn it. Let them chase it. Because when you laugh rarely, your approval becomes valuable. And power always flows to the man whose approval is scarce. Number 8. Never show desperation. It kills authority. Desperation is the ugliest scent a man can wear. You won't see it, but everyone around you can smell it. It's in the way a man leans in too much during a conversation. It's in the overeager smile, the eyes scanning for approval, the constant need to be noticed, liked, accepted. Whether it's in dating, business, or social circles, desperation communicates one thing: I need something from you, and I'm willing to lower myself to get it. That single energy destroys power. Machiavellian wisdom is clear. Neediness is weakness. The less you appear to want, the more valuable you become. The moment you start chasing attention, affection, or validation, you hand over the frame of the interaction. Because here's how human psychology works. People don't respect what chases them. They're drawn to what withdraws. They obsess over what's hard to attain. Desperation flips this script. It makes you easy, predictable, replaceable. The powerful man doesn't beg to be chosen. He chooses. He doesn't try to fit in. He defines the space he's in. He doesn't chase. He lets others position themselves to earn his time. This is not arrogance. It's leverage. Machiavelli would say, "The prince must be desired, not desiring. To need nothing is to rule everything." And it doesn't require wealth or fame to embody this. It starts in posture, in presence, in the refusal to explain, overcompensate, or follow where you're not led with respect. When you show no desperation, you hold the key to unpredictability. And unpredictability is magnetic. So the next time you're tempted to prove your worth, don't. Don't text first 3 times in a row. Don't beg to be seen. Don't justify your presence. Stand still. Say less. Let your silence raise the question in their mind. Why isn't he trying? That's where the power lives. Because the man who appears to need nothing is the man the world ends up chasing. Number 9. Never stay too long. Exit powerfully. Most men ruin their impact not by what they say, but by staying too long to say it. They linger in conversations long after their words have landed. They keep talking when silence would have done more. They stay in rooms, relationships, and situations far beyond the point of advantage. Why? Because they're addicted to validation. Because they don't know when to stop. Because they fear becoming forgotten. But here's the Machiavellian truth. The man who knows when to exit, without excuse, without noise, always controls the memory he leaves behind. Power is not just in presence, it's in timing, in withdrawal, in the strategic disappearance that makes others crave your return. A prince doesn't overstay. He appears, dominates the frame, then vanishes, leaving everyone wondering, will he return? That tension is power. When you stay too long, you give people more of you than they asked for. And what's given too freely becomes common. Predictable. Weak. The world remembers the man who left at his peak, not the one who stayed past relevance. Think about this in everyday dynamics. In conversation, be the one who ends it first, clean and smooth. In social spaces, exit while the energy is still high before it dips. In conflict, withdraw when your silence says more than any last word ever could, because staying too long makes them comfortable. Leaving early makes them wonder. Machiavelli would remind you, the wise man ensures his departure leaves a void. This doesn't mean you ghost or disappear with passive aggression. It means you plan your exit like a tactician. Leave while your value is still echoing in the room. The last impression is often more powerful than the first. If your final presence is strong, your absence becomes a haunting memory. So next time you feel the urge to explain more, stay longer, talk more, don't. Stand up, say one final line, leave, and let them sit in the silence you left behind. That silence will scream louder than anything else. Number 10. Public power is silent power. Power isn't proven by what you say, it's preserved by what you withhold. In public, the loudest man is rarely the most feared. He's the most desperate, the one clawing for attention, choking on the need to be seen, to be heard, to be validated. But the man who moves with restraint, the one who watches more than he speaks, who listens without revealing, who shows up with presence, not performance, that man holds true power. Machiavelli understood this deeply. He warned, "Men judge more by the eyes than by the hands, for everyone can see, but few can feel." Translation: the world reacts to perception more than substance. And nothing warps perception more effectively than silence, because silence creates mystique. Mystique creates speculation. Speculation breeds obsession. The man who speaks rarely forces others to fill in the blanks. They project strength onto him simply because he hasn't disqualified himself with noise. This is why public power is not about proving who you are, it's about making them wonder who you are. You don't need to dominate every conversation. You don't need to laugh at every joke. You don't need to share your thoughts, emotions, or opinions with every crowd. In fact, the less you do, the more powerful you seem. Presence isn't volume. Presence is control. Stillness, composure, lack of reaction. These are the weapons of the unreadable. The man who holds his frame while others perform for attention, he becomes the silent judge of the room. The one people adjust themselves around. He doesn't seek favor, he doesn't plead for approval. He commands it without ever asking. And when he finally speaks, everyone listens. Because the voice that rarely speaks carries more weight than a voice that never shuts up. Close strong. Public power doesn't come from dominance. It comes from restraint, from being the man who could speak but chooses not to. The one who sees everything but reveals nothing. Be unreadable, be calm, be untouchable. These weren't social tips. They were psychological weapons, tools for silence, control, and strategic dominance. If you felt the power in restraint, if you saw yourself in the man who doesn't beg to be noticed, then you're already different from the masses. This channel is not for the loud. It's not for the needy. It's for those who want to move in silence and rule without noise. Subscribe now, because in a world of overexposure, the man who talks less, reveals nothing, and exits first is the one they never forget. Don't be seen everywhere. Be remembered everywhere. Don't be liked by everyone. Be feared by the right ones. This is Machiavellian strategy. And if it resonated, welcome home.